Hey, this is the El Donzo and Deez show here on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. I'm El Donzo.
I'm Deez.
And we were just talking in the last segment about Tucker Carlson had Stephen Sund, who was the chief of the Capitol Hill Police, on his show right before he got canned. And Rupert Murdoch, of course, in all his left-wing glory, he pretends to be a Republican. He's not. And, you know, even that's the thing, Republicans and Democrats. I don't even identify with either one of those anymore. I never identify as Democrat, but even a Republican. I identify as conservative, America first. You know, let's make the people, the middle class, important again. That's how I feel about it. Anyway, he was on there and he said, and he agrees, that the feds infiltrated the protesters at the January 6th protest. All right, and they went to the rotunda. They listened to Trump's speech, which Trump, as we just laid out earlier in the show, said nothing about going into the Capitol, said nothing about overthrowing the government.
No.
All right?
Like it specifically said, peacefully protest.
They made it out, and you'll remember this, and we've talked about this. The only people that died were Trump supporters that day. If you look at the Capitol Hill police officer, Brian Sicknick,
yep,
who they said he was beaten to death with a fire extinguisher. He wasn't. He wasn't even hit. He wasn't even injured. They had video of him after he was supposedly beat to death with a fire extinguisher walking around.
Heart attack, wasn't it? Or?
Stroke. It was a stroke.
Okay,
he had a stroke. All right. He talked to his brother that day or the day after. He was fine. Had a stroke. So they're making this out to be something more than it isn't. Now, Ray Epps, I believe he was in the either Oath Keepers or the Proud Boys. Ray Epps is inciting a lot of this. And Ray Epps still hasn't had anything happen to him yet, if you'll remember correctly. So, something else I want to touch on here real quick when we're talking about the January 6th thing and how convenient this was. Isn't it convenient that Lindsey Graham and these congressmen actually want to stop certification? Not end it. They don't want to do away with it, but they want to pause certification of the election for it was 10 days. Okay, 10 days to look into these claims of election interference. And right before they were going to get that, boom, that's when they're all ushered into the Capitol by the Capitol Hill Police Department. Do you remember that? We saw video of them opening doors and tearing down barricades and ushering people in. We saw a bunch of older folks. We saw a bunch of people going in there and looking around. They're in their house. They're in the people's house. Okay? And then all of a sudden, Nancy Pelosi's daughter's there videotaping this, like documentary style. Why was Nancy Pelosi's daughter there when the S hit the fan, when the sticks hit the proverbial fan? What do you think, Deez?
Obviously, just visiting dear old mom.
Obviously, she was doing something.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I think it's kind of odd. That's all. And then I don't think we've even talked about the Hunter Biden thing with Devin Archer yet, have we?
No, we haven't really touched on it.
We've discussed it. We need to start pulling that one up here pretty quick. What do you got on that, Deez?
Well, other than the latest, which came out, was talking about how, what's the story is, about how Hunter was using Joe as defensive leverage in the foreign business, with the foreign business partners. The transcript, basically the same thing that you got.
So my big issue with this is Devin Archer wasn't under oath.
Yeah, that I didn't know.
He was not under oath. From everything I can find, he was not under oath. So this is what's really weird about this. So we look at the wins for our side. Okay, I'm going to go through this. It's not going to be quick, but I'm going to go through it. So these are the things that we really gleaned off of it. Okay? Majority Council asks Devin Archer, you keep saying the brand, but by brand you mean the Biden family, correct? He answers correct. Council responds back, and that brand is what, in your opinion, was the majority of what the value that was delivered from Hunter Biden to Burisma. Archer replies, I didn't say majority, but I wouldn't speculate on percentages, but I do think that was the element of it. All right. The whole thing was that Joe Biden was selling his brand to the foreign adversaries, to the foreign business partners. We all know that he was involved with it. All right. Second thing, Joe Biden was on speakerphone with Hunter's business associates. Another important highlight of Archer's testimony was his confirmation that Joe Biden was allegedly on the phone with Hunter Biden's foreign business associates during the meetings. The majority counsel asked how many times Hunter put his father on speakerphone or referenced his father being on the phone in front of others who were either foreign investors or foreign nationals who he was soliciting business with or working with. And Archer replied 10 to 20 times, maybe 20 times. Third allegation, Burisma executives pushed Hunter to get help from D.C. Archer stated the request, basically the request is like, can DC help? But there were not, I'm not going to, there were not, it wasn't like blah, 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 blah. There weren't specific, can the big guy help? It's always this amorphous, can we get help in DC? A couple other allegations. Joe Biden was present at a 2015 meeting with Burisma executives, which was confirmed. And then the fifth allegation, Archer confirmed 6- and 7-digit wire transfers. So this is what Devin Archer confirmed happened. Now, this is where we get into the thick and thin of this. There's a couple points, the talking points the Dems have, which is actually pretty interesting. So here's one. Devin Archer, who worked with Hunter Biden at the Ukrainian energy firm Burisma, told the House Oversight Committee this week that Joe Biden never talked business with his son. But the then Vice President on the phone with Hunter and other associates, according to a transcript of the testimony released Thursday. So he's on the phone, okay? He's on the phone with Hunter's business associates, but he didn't talk business. This is what Devin Archer said while he was testifying, not under oath. I think you have to understand that there was no business conversation about a cap table or a fee or anything like that. It was, just general niceties and, conversation in general about the geography, about the weather, whatever it may be. He continued, there are touch points and contact points that I can't deny happened, but nothing of material was discussed. He said some of the things Hunter and Joe Biden discussed on the speakerphone were, well, how's the weather, how's the fishing? You're going to tell me that Joe Biden got on the speakerphone with his son's business partners and discussed fishing? What? Here's my issue. He wasn't under oath.
Sounds like Devin doesn't want to sleep with the fishes.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
So Devin Archer, and I said this earlier in the show, only copped to what he had to cop to. And he's going to lie about the rest, whatever he can get away with. We'll cover this a little bit more in the next segment, but this is the El Donzo Deez Show, and
welcome back to the El Donzo and Deez Show right here on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal.
I'm not Deez.
I'm not El Donzo, and I would like to take this time to remind you to check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ElDonzoDeez. We put up show clips and do some live streams, and we're going to be doing, or I'm going to be doing, a lot more content now that football season is officially underway with tonight being Thursday, very first preseason game. Also, Twitter @ElDonzoDeez and Facebook.com/ElDonzoDeez. And before we get back to the Biden stuff, breaking news, the world governing body of women's swimming has officially banned trans athletes, trans-identifying men competing with women.
About damn time.
Starting on Monday.
What are the details about that? Do we have any details?
Nothing yet. It literally just came out. All it says here is that the World Swimming Governing Body has banned trans-identifying men from competing with women starting on Monday.
Well, that's good. I mean, at least they finally did this.
Yeah.
Because this is just, it's absurdity on its face.
Yeah.
But I want to finish up something real quick with this Devin Archer thing. I touched on this earlier in the show, what I think is going on. This is what I think is going on. Devin Archer has his teat in the ringer right now. All right. The reason that he's not under oath is so there can be no further recourse taken on him if he's lying. So Devin Archer had to give up the goods on what he thought they would have evidence on him knowing, what they had evidence on him being involved with. So when he says something like Joe Biden was asking about fishing or asking about how the weather was or asking about geography, what does Joe Biden give a crap about what the weather is in China?
Yeah, he doesn't. I mean,
those were the things that he could cop out to. Those are the things he could somewhat, as the term goes, plead the fifth on. So I just wanted to wrap it up with that. This is all smoke and mirrors. And like I said, but the biggest thing right now, to wrap this up, is Joe Biden said it. Karine Jean-Pierre said it. The White House's talking point was that Joe Biden never talked to his son Hunter about his business dealings, never met with his business partners. We know that was a lie. It was a complete lie. And they're going after Trump, and they're trying to distract by doing these indictments on Trump, which we now know that Merrick Garland was directed by Joe Biden to do.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. So we have this other story. What's this thing with Dark Brandon drinking coffee?
Oh, hold on. I'm not done with this crap yet.
Oh, go ahead. Nope, have it.
If I could steal something from Dan Bongino, I thought this was brilliant.
Do it.
The Democrats are correct. There is no evidence of Joe Biden being involved with all this. Outside of, the bank records, the suspicious activity reports, the wire transfers, the private bank transactions, the LLCs, the texts, the emails, the WhatsApp messages, the photos of Joe with Hunter's business partners, or the voicemails to his son, or the two business partners saying the word that Joe is the brand, or the big guy, or the chairman, or the two whistleblower testimonies, the recorded phone calls between Biden and Poroshenko, or the video of Joe Biden bragging about firing the prosecutor, or Hunter's statements about the prosecutor, Hunter's statements that he's giving his dad half of his income. Other than that, there's no evidence here.
Well, so
we have a couple things.
President Benedict Arnold in the White House right now, who has sold his country down the river. I want to say this. Jonathan Turley was on Fox News, and I believe Jonathan Turley's a Democrat. He's like Alan Dershowitz, but he calls him as he sees him. I got a quote here real quick before we move on. He was on Your World with Cavuto, I think is still doing that. This is Jonathan Turley. He quote, "I think that it's the assumption is that he knew exactly what these meetings were about. It just strains credulity that he flies to China with his son and doesn't ask once, by the way, where are you going to go in China? What are you doing business here that he makes all these calls to? These folks have dinners with foreign characters, and he doesn't say, who were those guys? Why were you meeting? It's just not very believable, but I think that we also have other evidence that they shared accounts. There are some emails referring to a 10% cut going to the president. It was called the big guy. They were accounts of offices that would be paid for by the president and the first lady. Hunter Biden himself complains about taking money to pay his father's bills." He goes on, Jonathan Turley, there was an exchange where Hunter Biden said, "We're the best at this effectively," and they are. And you can see that in how that influence paid only scheme was developed. No money has to go directly to the president. There's lots of ways to benefit the Biden family, but the one thing that we can't do is just walk away. Now, this goes back to Joe Biden. When they asked him about taking money from his son and from foreign business deals, what did he say? Show me the money. Where's the money at?
Yeah.
That was a dare. We all know that was a dare at this point. But want to get into this Dark Brandon thing. This just made news, didn't it?
It literally just came out within the last couple hours.
And what was I've got the audio pulled up here. What was the premise for the listeners, Deez?
He just literally takes a swig of coffee, says the line, and sets the mug down in front of the, closer to the camera. And the mug, if you're familiar with the whole, Let's Go Brandon thing, there was then Dark Brandon. It was basically Joe Biden with like red demonic eyes, and that's everybody referred to that as Dark Brandon. And the mug has, the Dark Brandon on it, surrounded by 2024.
But the funny thing about this whole Brandon thing is, if you guys don't remember, this started with, what was a race car driver? I can't remember his name.
I don't remember his name, but yeah, it was a guy that like won his first race, and his name happened to be Brandon.
And the gal was interviewing him,
yeah,
and the crowd behind
live
him
on NBC.
The whole crowd, pretty much the whole crowd was saying, F Joe Biden, right?
Yeah.
And then she goes, oh, they're saying, let's go Brandon. And it was so obviously it wasn't, but they took it and ran with it, which I think was a mistake. But anyway, here's the audio roll clip. Maybe. There we go.
I like my coffee dark.
I like my coffee like I like my women.
Ground up and stuck in the freezer.
I was going to say without a penis in it, but
yeah,
okay, that'll
way.
work too.
Well,
So,
the last thing I want to say about this whole Biden situation is everybody on the left is sitting there saying, well, that's not enough evidence. The Archer thing, that's all. And you're right. Each individual thing that has come out is not enough. But it doesn't take Nancy effing Drew to piece together everything that has come out. Like, there are cases literally built on evidence like this that put people in the electric chair. If we don't have enough time on the show to list every single thing that has gone on since 2016. Like, how is this even still an investigation?
now, don't forget what they're accusing Trump of doing. What they're accusing Donald Trump of doing could bring the penalty of death. Okay? Don't forget that. What they're accusing Trump and they're indicting Trump on could bring the penalty of death still under federal law at this point. And the fact that this idiot is just doing this with impunity just boggles the mind. But I say, I don't know. Is it time to move on yet? Have we had enough depression for our day yet?
You know how I am with
I know,
with
bro.
Fox News. This BS has literally had me watching Fox News for the last 3 days.
Oh, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad.
No, listeners out there, look. You would pretty much need to put a gun to my head for me to watch any news channel for long. Like, there better be like death on the screen to grab my attention. I've literally what is wrong with me? I've been watching The Five and whatever that stupid ass morning show that they have is. Like,
oh, The View.
No, might as well be. Mark Levin was on there this morning.
Mark Levin,
whatever. Man, did you see it? He went.
I did not.
Ballistic.
He was an angry little elf.
Oh
wasn't
my.
He?
Yeah. Somebody there had to have had their finger on the button, because I was expecting some MFers to come out of that, because he was literally screaming at the hosts. Like, dude, chill. Like, they didn't do it. Like,
well, he's pissed for the same reason we all are.
Absolutely. And I have to imagine that there are people out there like me. I'm a libertarian more than anything, but I would have, I'm going to vote for Trump anyway, but I got to think that there are people out there that have towed the line that maybe could have flopped either way. Like, open your eyes and look, as bad as Trump's ego is and as much as he pisses people off with the things that he says.
I'm surprised you even put that disclaimer out there anymore. I'm surprised you're not even just forget it. Who cares? I'm over it.
Well, it's just like, how can you look at this joke of an administration that we have right now and say, yeah, give me 4 more years of that? No, dude, come on. I
will not have what she's having.
Yeah. Like on the live stream, that story that I talked about with our dads. Wake the F up.
I agree 100%. And once again, we weren't going to do it, but Deez is very, very angry, and so am I.
Man. I'm telling you, through all the crap that we have been through, I'm literally I might as well lock myself in a basement, because I am of the mind right now that the whole damn pandemic was planned.
It was.
Just for the election. They tanked the economy and said, oh, look what happened with Trump's economy, blah, blah, blah. No, it was friggin' great until you guys brought this BS. We got to go. We'll be right back.
I'm going to get D some nitro pills for his heart.
9 News Talk. We'll be right back.